Hi, very good morning. I'm Dr. Janak Patel, physician. I'm not a cardiologist. I'm still a student. I'm still learning something. So whatever I've learned, I would like to share with you. So today we'll be talking regarding one of the very important topic, that is how you differentiate supraventricular tachycardia and ventricular tachycardia. As such, we know that supraventricular tachycardia are usually narrow QRS tachycardia, while ventricular tachycardia are wide QRS tachycardia, or we call broad QRS tachycardia. But good number of SVT conditions can produce a wide QRS tachyarrhythmias, and then it becomes very difficult to differentiate between the two. So we'll try to make it as simple as possible. It is a little complicated topic, but we'll try to make it as simple as possible. So I'll be talking about difference between wide QRS tachycardia because of SVT with aberrancy and ventricular tachycardia. So I don't have to repeat this slide. We have already repeated many times that if the topic is made simple, you will understand very well. And because once you understand, you will remember. And once you remember, you will try to recognize those particular things in an ECG. And you will look for that in an ECG. So I'll try to make it as simple as possible. So we are going to talk today regarding a wide QRS tachyarrhythmias. So again, same, you see more and more number of ECG, you will be able to identify those particular condition, and you will look for. You listen to more and more person, you will look for, and when you look for, you will be able to identify very easily. So it is also called as a WQRST, means W for wide, QRS, T for tachyarrhythmias. So wide QRS tachyarrhythmias, or it is also called in a short, wide complex tachycardias. So these are the two short term, but don't try to use that. Use straightforward wide QRS tachycardias. That is better way. Now this slide I've already shown you before, that there are standard 6 questions which we always ask regarding rate. So we try to find out whether it is tachycardia or bradycardia. So we are talking about tachycardia, so there has to be a rate more than 100. Second question, we try to find out it is regular or irregular, and if it is regular, regularly irregular or irregularly irregular. Then try to identify the P wave morphology to find out whether it belongs to ventricular or it belongs to a supraventricular rhythms. Then QRS complex is wide or narrow. Here we are going to talk about a wide QRS complex. So QRS complex has to be more than 0.12 second. So then we call that as a wide QRS complex tachyarrhythmias. And then relation of the P wave to QRS complex, if it is present, what is the PR interval, whether it change, whether the onset is fast or slow, etc. After looking at all these parameter, by and large you can differentiate whether it is a wide or a narrow QRS complex tachyarrhythmias. But still, a wide QRS tachyarrhythmia because of supraventricular tachycardia, or it is because of ventricular tachycardia, it is little difficult and it is complex. So we can go for another way, but that should be the last way. When you cannot identify on ECG, then only you should try that. So try to look at the previous ECG, whether the person was having atrial arrhythmias or ventricular arrhythmias, and what is the effect of vagal stimulation like carotid sinus massage or Valsalva maneuver, and what is the effect of adenosine. These three things should be seen, and that will help you more to further differentiate. We'll be talking little bit regarding this at the end of the lecture. So wide complex tachyarrhythmias are because of one condition we call as a ventricular tachyarrhythmias and supraventricular tachycardia with aberrancy. So whenever there is a supraventricular tachycardia with bundle branch block, it will be wide, and if there is an aberrant conduction, and good number of times this aberrant conduction is there whenever the rate becomes faster, so we call rate related aberrant conduction. And if there is a necessary pathway like WPW syndrome, we call pre-excitation syndrome, in that also SVT can be there with aberrancy producing a wide complex tachyarrhythmias. Also, depending upon the transmission across the AV node, You can have regular or irregular. So we'll be showing you the other slide which will tell you that it is regular or irregular. So wide QRS tachyarrhythmias or wide complex tachyarrhythmias can be VT or SVT with aberrancy, and SVT with aberrancy is because of bundle branch block, rate related aberrant conduction or pre-excitation syndrome. We'll have a further more terminology. So when we talk about a wide QRS, means QRS complex has to be more than 0.12 second. Now this can be regular, so we combine tachycardia, it has to be wide, and now we add one more differential part. If it is regular, there are two possibilities. Monomorphic ventricular tachycardia, I should have added here the word monomorphic, or the supraventricular tachycardia with bundle branch block. This two comes as a very close differential diagnosis if the person has got regular rhythm, wide QRS, that is point more than 0.12 second, and there is tachycardia, that is rate is more than 100 per minute. Then these two are the closest differential diagnosis. While if rate is irregular, and if it is absolutely irregularly irregular, it is always because of atrial fibrillation. So atrial fibrillation is there and person was already having a bundle branch block, or there is an atrial fibrillation and person was having WPW syndrome. These two condition comes as a differential diagnosis if person has got irregularly irregular, RR interval is irregular. It may be wide and it may be tachycardia. Straightforward, there is no other closest differential diagnosis. Now one of the closest differential diagnosis we call as a polymorphic VT. In a polymorphic VT, RR interval can be irregular, but there are certain features which are very easy. So you can easily diagnose polymorphic VT, which will be little irregular, will be wide QRS complex, and there will be tachycardias. So we'll try to talk more about this VT, which is monomorphic, and SVT with bundle branch block, or maybe with SVT, maybe there with a pre-excitation syndromes. So these two conditions, ideally we have shown you in a previous slide, that SVT with aberrancy may be because of bundle branch block, rate related, and pre-excitation. All these three conditions will become a close differential diagnosis of VT. So we'll be talking of that particular side. Now here this is again same thing put in a different pattern. So if there is a tachycardia, it is a wide QRS, and if it is regular, these are the possibilities. So supraventricular tachycardia with aberrancy, and that aberrancy is because of AVNRT, or it is because of WPW syndrome, like we call as a AVRT, or these are supraventricular, and we put only one as far as ventricular rhythm is concerned, we call as a monomorphic ventricular tachycardia. And if it is irregular, we have already shown in a previous slide, atrial fibrillation with aberrancy, that is bundle branch block, or atrial fibrillation with WPW syndrome. And here the differential diagnosis as far as a ventricular tachyarrhythmia is concerned, we call as a polymorphic ventricular tachycardia. So now combining all together, wide complex QRS tachycardia which is regular, so it is wide, there is a tachycardia. And if it is regular, we call ventricular tachycardia, which is almost accounting for 80% of that group. So indirectly we always use the word, unless proven otherwise, always consider that as a VT. And other possibilities are all these possibilities which you have to differentiate, so that you can differentiate VT from all these conditions, that is SVT with aberrancy, SVT with bundle branch block, SVT with delayed conduction because of the drugs, or because of electrolyte imbalance like hyperkalemia, or because of AVRT, that is called WPW syndrome with antidromic transmission, or pacemaker rhythm. In all this, you will have to differentiate from VT. And if it is irregular, we have already put you previous slides that it is atrial fibrillation with aberrant conduction, or it is with pre-excitation pathway, that is we call WPW syndrome, or if there is an irregular SVT like atrial fibrillation with aberrancy or with bundle branch block pathway, or the VT is because of polymorphic cycle. So polymorphic VT will be irregular and wide, and there will be tachycardia. So odd combination atrial fibrillation with bundle branch block, atrial flutter with variable block with bundle branch block, atrial fibrillation with WPW syndrome, or multifocal atrial tachycardia with bundle branch block, because multifocal atrial tachycardia is very commonly irregular, and only one condition which belongs to ventricular is polymorphic VT. So these are all the other conditions. Now why this is important? Because there are some conditions which are risky, like scar mediated ventricular tachycardia etiology wise, or in an older person, or it is sustained and person is at a very high risk. This should be identified and should be treated properly. But if you come across SVT with aberrancy, the risk becomes less. Or if it is idiopathic, it is in a younger patient. If it is intermittent, then the risk becomes less and less. But there are some conditions which are reversible, like toxic conditions, which is because of some drugs, or maybe metabolic like hypokalemia or hyperkalemia, magnesium disorders, etc., can produce a broad complex tachyarrhythmias, but these are usually reversible. And in SVT and aberrancy, usually the mortality is little less as compared to ventricular tachycardia, because if this is not treated, the mortality rate is high, because ventricular tachycardia will end up with ventricular fibrillation and then asystole. While this is usually not so common, which will end into a dangerous cardiac arrhythmia, which can end with asystole. Rare, not common. So try to identify this ventricular tachycardia from these less pathogenic conditions. You can see here, we have already written here SVT with aberrancy, but there are techniques to differentiate this from VT. We'll be talking about that. I'm mentioning one. You can see this is negative, this is negative, this is negative, this is negative. Now here V5, V6 is positive. So this is showing you somewhat pattern like LBBB, left bundle branch block pattern, and this is this quadrant. This quadrant we call this quadrant. So whenever this is this quadrant, it is having a morphology of LBBB or a RBBB. It is more in favor of an SVT with aberrancy. We'll be talking about all those further. While in a ventricular tachycardia, you can see this, all these complexes are positive complexes. You can see all these complexes are positive complexes we call. And there is no particular pattern like left bundle branch block pattern. So whenever you get such things, it is more in favor of a ventricular tachycardia. There is many more reasons what we'll be talking in further lecture. Now there is one odd things which sometimes you can face. If there is a VT and there is a narrow QRS complex, rare combination, but it can happen. We'll give you a little idea because we will be talking about this particular more when we talk about VT. So you can see here, there is tachyarrhythmias, there is a run of tachycardia, but all complexes are narrow. But if you look in this particular leads, these are ventricular premature beats. These are ventricular premature beats. You can see they are multifocal. These are multifocal. This is of different shape. This is of different shape. These are multifocal ventricular premature beats. So if you get this particular multifocal ventricular premature beat, this can end up with ventricular tachycardia. And if the focus for this ventricle rhythm is close to bundle of His, or it is close to mitral ring, or close to tricuspid ring, or close to one of the bundle, say like left posterior hemi bundle, then it will give rise to what we call as a narrow QRS ventricular tachycardia. It is little tough. If you understand, well and good. If you don't understand, you try to read again and again. You will make out what I am talking about. Now we'll be talking just regarding this particular part. That is, we call wide complex tachyarrhythmias or wide QRS tachyarrhythmias. So whenever we talk about that, always there is a question. How do I do? What should I do? First thing is you have to differentiate VT from SVT with aberrant conduction. And that is what we are going to talk maximum about this. Little idea regarding adenosine, what can happen in adenosine in wide complex tachycardia, and then you have to choose the treatment, because there is a absolutely different treatment if it is what we call as SVT with aberrant conduction, and if it is VT, the treatment is absolutely different. If you treat VT as SVT, it is dangerous, but if you treat SVT as VT, less dangerous. So we are not going to go into that tremendous detail, but we'll try to. So this two part we'll be talking in very short. This will be talking in detail when we talk about ventricular tachycardia. Standard. Anytime if you see a wide QRS tachycardia, rate more than 100, QRS complex more than 0.12 second, 80% of the time it is VT, only in 20% of the patient it is SVT. That's why we always say wide QRS complex tachycardia, always treat as VT unless proven otherwise. So always consider that as VT, but no, treatment will change. So try to identify wide QRS tachyarrhythmias because of what we call as a supraventricular tachycardia with aberrancy. So we are going through that clinical side, and then we'll go through the ECG side. If any person who has got a previous history of MI, a known case of an ischemic heart disease, has got 4 times more likely to be VT rather than SVT. And 80% of all patients, we already shown you a previous slide, is more likely to be VT rather than SVT with aberrancy. If you get these features, clinical features, asymptomatic, palpitation which is transient or maybe sustained, occasional chest pain, not very common, syncope, pre-syncope, dizziness, Cannon wave, absence of pulse, hypotension, variable S1 sound, first heart sound. These are more in favor of SVT with aberrancy rather than VT. But if person has got a past history of MI, more in favor of VT. If person has got congestive heart failure and he develops a wide QRS tachyarrhythmia, it is more in favor of VT. He has got a history of ischemic heart disease and he is having now anginal pain, and if it is more of unstable angina, again in favor of VT. If there is a recurrent episodes of such wide complex QRS tachycardia, it is more in favor of supraventricular tachycardias. If duration of illness is more than 3 years, 100% never in favor of ventricular tachycardia. So these two, recurrent episode, longer duration, goes more in favor of SVT and VT. And if there are minimal symptoms and person is stable, there is minimal symptoms like palpitation, light headache, and there is no syncope, more in favor of SVT. So do consider clinically, sometimes you can easily differentiate between SVT and VT, but not 100%. You should try to look at the ECG also. So these are asymptomatic, hemodynamically stable, more in favor of SVT. Hemodynamically unstable, more in favor of VT. But hemodynamically unstable can also happen in case of SVT with aberrancy, not very common. Again, repetition is there. MI, congestive heart failure, recent angina, more in favor of VT, almost in 95% of the patient. And if age is less than 35, more in favor of SVT with aberrant conduction. Hemodynamic instability, more in favor of VT. Cannon waves, more in favor of VT, and if there are irregular cannon wave, more in favor of VT. If S1 sound is variable and systolic blood pressure variable and there is a severe fall of systolic blood pressure, again in favor of VT. If vagal maneuver or what we call as a carotid sinus massage decreases the heart rate, or there is a reversal or what we call as reverse back to normal sinus rhythm, more in favor of SVT. So do keep this in mind. And if the person has got magnet which can terminate polymorphic tachyarrhythmias, so once in a while this may be there. Age less than 35, more in favor of SVT. More than 35, we always say middle age and older age group, more in favor of VT. Previous history of MI, almost more than 95% VT. Pacemaker is utilized more in favor of ventricular tachyarrhythmias. Again, same slide. 80% of the time it is VT, 20% of the time SVT. This we have already mentioned before. Because of AV dissociation in VT, you will have a Cannon waves. S1 sound will be variable. Systolic blood pressure will be variable, and there will be hypotension. While in case of what we call as a supraventricular tachycardia with aberrancy, if you give carotid sinus massage, or you do a Valsalva maneuver, or you give adenosine 6 milligram or 12 milligram, and there is a reversal or termination, we call reversal or termination word, and person reverse back to normal sinus rhythm, more in favor of an SVT. Always compare with the previous ECG. If in previous ECG the axis what was present has changed, in present ECG it is more in favor of VT. If there was pre-existing bundle branch block, WPW, and there is suddenly a broad complex tachyarrhythmias, it can be SVT with aberrancy. If P-wave morphology has changed and it shows you AV dissociation, it is in favor of VT. If person was having what we call as an intraventricular conduction defect, it is more in favor of SVT with aberrant conduction. And if there was a prior MI and there is an evidence of old infarct and he develops a wide QRS tachyarrhythmia, it is again more in favor of ventricular tachycardia. These are different modes in which you try to look at the ECG, and you differentiate in ECG between the wide QRS tachycardia, I am running fast, QRS duration, QRS axis, concordating pattern, precordial RS duration, morphology criteria of RBBB, LBBB, Q wave presence or not, AV dissociation is there or not, then baseline QRS prolongation, AVR changes, and lead to what we call as a R wave peak time. We call RWPT criteria in lead 2. So these are 10 different criteria which are being utilized. Some person utilizes this criteria. These are other way of criteria, that is absence of typical RBBB or LBBB pattern, which is more common. These are all the features of VT. Extreme axis deviation like northwest, we call no man's land. Very broad complexes, more than even 0.12, that is more than 0.16 second. AV dissociation, capture bits, fusion bits, positive or negative concordance, Brugada sign, Josephson sign, and Marriott signs. These are all the features of VT. But some are very much in favor, some are not in favor. So we'll be trying to use all this. I'll just mention regarding Brugada sign, Josephson sign. Marriott sign is usually not utilized, but this we utilize by RS pattern. And if this is seen in a what we call as a chest slits, it is called as a Marriott sign. First R is tall, second S is deeper, and second R wave is a smaller one. And this is given a name, left rabbit ear pattern. So if you get a left rabbit ear pattern, it is more in favor of VT. We'll be talking about what is more important. Now this is again a big list. This is a better slide than the previous two. All this is combined together here. So at your leisure time, you can go through all this. What I will be talking about few of those signs. So here you try to differentiate VT from SVT. That is QRS complex is broader, AV dissociation, capture bits, fusion bits, Brugada sign, Josephson sign. This is what we called as, I've already shown you, Marriott sign. This is RS pattern, Marriott signs, positive or negative concordance, absence of typical RBBB and LBBB morphology, extreme right axis deviation. These were all the things which were mentioned previously. Now here he has added one more, that is clinical criteria. Age less than 35 here and age more than 35. Structural heart disease, ischemic heart disease, previous MI, congestive heart failure, cardiomyopathy, strong family history of sudden cardiac death in favor of VT. While here, this helps you a lot. Previous bundle branch block, typical, or WPW syndrome, and age less than 35, will tell you that it is more in favor of SVT with aberrancy. And this is the difference between the two. Have a pause, go through all. We'll be talking about all this in a further slides. Now this is the best slide which we use for diagnosing very easily between the SVT and VT. We call Bruguera's algorithms. This is not Bruguera's syndrome. This is Bruguera's algorithm. So we follow these algorithms and there are 4 steps, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So you look at the RS complex in V1 to V6. You look at the RS duration in chase leads. You look at the AV dissociation, capture bits and fusion bits. And you look at the morphological criteria, whether it is RBBB pattern or LBBB pattern. These are the 4-step technique we call. First step, RS complex in V1 to V6. Then the duration of RS complex. Then AV dissociation and morphological criteria of QRS complex, whether it is a RBBB pattern or left bundle branch block pattern. We'll be going in detail now. So what is step 1? So we are going through that. In a precordial lead from V1 to V6, if you look at the RS pattern, either R and S are equal, or R is smaller, S is deeper, or S is taller. You can see here, this R is taller and S is smaller. So here R and S are equal. Here R is small, S is deep. Here R is tall and S is small. It may be any one of these pattern. But if this is prolonged and if it is more than 0.16 second, it is in favor of VT. So we use this particular criteria. You can see here, from here till here, it is prolonged. So this is what we call. And we use what we call as a concordance. If you look in V1, V2, V3, V4, V5, V6, all are positive. So this is called positive concordance. All are upright. You look here, all are negative. V1 to V6. Here we look only in one criteria, that is in a chest leads only. We don't look at the limb leads. This is the criteria for V1 to V6. All are negative. This we call as a negative concordance. And this we call as a positive concordance. So if this is seen, almost we say that it is strongly in favor of VT. Again I am repeating. If all are identical, all are negative, you can see all are negative. Here, all are positive. We call concordance is maintained. Concordance is maintained. Whether it is negative or positive, it is in favor of VT. But if you get some are negative, some are positive, always think in terms of SVT with aberrant conduction. Now second step, we call Bruguera's sign. So if you look from beginning of the R wave till the beginning of S wave, see this S wave is ending here. Now if this duration is more than 0.1 second, 0.1 second, that is one small square is 0.04. So more than 2.5 small square. So if it is more than 2.5 small square, we call that as a Bruguera's sign. And if Bruguera's sign is positive, it is in favor of what we call as VT. You can see here, from here till here, you can easily calculate. This is 1, this is 2, almost 3 small square. So it is more than 0.1 second. So if it is more than 0.1 second, we call that as the Bruguera's sign. Very, very clear. Right? Okay. So you can see here, from here till here, it is almost we say more than 3 small square. Almost close to 4 small square. So it is 0.16 second. So this is Bruguera's sign. And now if you look here, I am showing you another sign. So whenever you get Q wave, or we call QS segment wave, this is almost like a QS. So in this descending limb, if you get this type of a notch, this is called nade. That is called Josephson sign. So Bruguera sign is a duration, and if you get this notch, slight this notch, that is called Josephson sign. So if you get the Josephson sign, Bruguière sign in favor of VT. Clear? Okay, right. Now V2, you can see here, this is a down, and you can see a notch here. This is Josephson sign. Very clear? And if from here till here, you see this duration, this is almost 3 small square, so more than 0.12. So this is Bruguière sign, this is Josephson sign. This arrow is Josephson sign, this is Bruguière sign. This duration what we are calculating is Bruguière, and this is what we look at. You can see here clear, very clear. You can see when there is a notch here, you can see a notch here, so that is Josephson sign, right? You will be able to see much better here. From here there is a small R wave, so this is a R wave duration, and you can see here if R wave is more than 30 millisecond, it is in favor. This is Josephson sign, slurring or we call notching of S wave. Is it clear? So this is from R to S, and from here beginning of this QRS complex till S wave, if that is more than 0.1 second, it is in favor of sign what we call as Bruguière sign, right? Clear? Okay, so that is the way you try to look for. So again you can see here there is a small R wave, then this is a deep S wave. Now here we cannot see a clear cut knot, but there is slight shape changes. So this is Josephson sign, this is more than 100 Bruguière sign, and R wave more than 30 milliseconds. So that is in favor of what we call as a VT. Now this is another thing which they utilize, what is called as R wave to peak time. So beginning of the R wave to the peak of a R wave, if it is more than 0.3, we call more than 0.5 more than 50 millisecond, that is 0.05 second. So in a millisecond it is more than 50 millisecond, it is in favor of VT. The specificity is 82%. So you can utilize, and this you will have to see in a lead 2, not in chase leads, not in chase leads. Well, these findings are in a chase leads. These findings are in a chase lead, that is V1, V2. These are all in a chase leads. Bruguière sign, Joseph signs is more in a chase leads. Even step 1, that is concordance in chase leads. While if you look at the R wave, what we call is a peak time, RWPT, that you have to look in a lead 2. Don't forget, don't try to look this in a chase leads. Third step we call as a AV dissociation. Now if in a run of a tachyarrhythmias, if you see a small P wave, you can see this P wave clearly, and whenever you see a P wave in presence of a wide QRS tachyarrhythmias, and if that P wave rate is different from RR interval, see this RR interval and see this PP interval, it is different, that is AV dissociation. So when atrium is producing P wave which is independent, and that impulse is not transmitted to ventricle, and ventricle is producing QRS complex independent of stimulation from above, we call that as AV dissociation. And whenever you get that AV dissociation, and if there is a tachyarrhythmias and QRS complex is broad, we call as a broad QRS tachyarrhythmias with AV dissociation, 100% in favor of ventricular tachycardia. And usually ventricular tachycardia rate will be faster than atrial rate. Because of this particular AV dissociation, you will have sometimes, you can see here, this is a broad complex or wide QRS tachycardia. This is clear cut VT. Now suddenly you can see here there is a small QRS complex which is almost like a normal QRS complex. This is what we call as a capture bit. And after that, you can see this beat is different from this and this. This is a mixture of this plus this. So this is called fusion beat. So there is a beat which has been transmitted from an atrium via AV node into ventricle, producing a normal QRS complex beat. So we call this as a capture beat. And when impulse from above, that is above the AV node, try to pass through AV node and to ventricle. So it has passed to the ventricle. At the same time, the ventricle also generates an impulse, and both are combined together. Then we call as a fusion. So this is a fusion of a beat coming from atrium and beat coming from ventricle. So we call that the fusion, and this is also called as a Dressler beat or Dressler fusion beat. So this is another word which is being utilized. So you try to remember that. So if you see a capture beat or you see a fusion beat, I've got a few ECG which will show you that. You will be able to identify those are ventricular tachycardias, not supraventricular tachycardia. So here, this is a little small complexes you can see here. This is normal QRS. See this pattern. This is different. This is a narrow QRS complex. This is a captured bit. And this F, what is being shown, does not look like this, does not look like this. So these are called fusion bit. F corresponds to fusion bits. These are all fusion bits. Fusion bits. Clear? So that particular is different. This is captured bit. This is captured bit. Normal sinus. Looks like normal sinus. You can see this. Looks like normal sinus. So these are capture bits. We'll have another ECG also. So this is fusion bit and capture bit. So see this shape and see this shape. This is normal sinus complex like bit. So this is capture bit. This is fusion bit. We'll have some other also. You can see this complex. Narrow QRS. Capture bit. And you look here. It is not identical like this. Not like this also. So it is a mixture of capture bit plus ventricular bit, and that is fusion bit. And good number of time you will be able to pick up AV dissociation also in that ECG. You can see here the arrow is shown. These are P wave. So P wave are seen, and if you see a P wave along with the wide QRS complex and P wave are independent, it is AV dissociation. And simultaneously you might see sometime capture bit and fusion bits. All these three things together, AV dissociation, capture bits, fusion bits, in favor of what we call as a ventricular tachyarrhythmias. You can see here again, this is fusion bit, this is capture bit. You can see a narrow QRS complex. So this is capture bit, this is fusion bit. So whenever you see the fusion bit, another name is Dressler bit. This is capture bit, this is fusion bit, this is capture bit, this is fusion bits. You can see this is wide QRS tachyarrhythmias. Wide QRS tachyarrhythmias. Now this is a fourth criteria, what we call is a RBB morphology or LBBB morphology. It is little complicated, I'll make it very simple. If QRS complex in V1 is showing you a classical pattern of RBBB, what we call as a first R wave, S wave followed by a second R wave, clear? And if that particular is showing you what we call as first R wave is taller, and if it is like a left rabbit ear, it is more in favor of VT. This is very difficult to remember. It is very easy that if you get that pattern, and in V5, V6, if you get what we call as a deep S wave, then it is in favor of more in favor of SVT with aberrancy. While in case of a VT, in V6, if you get QS pattern or R by S ratio is less than 1, R by S ratio is less than 1, it is in favor of what we call as a VT. Instead of remembering like this, we'll make it more simpler than that. If there is an LBBB pattern and there is a right axis deviation, because usually with LBBB you will have a left axis deviation. So with LBBB pattern and there is a right axis deviation, it will go more in favor of a VT. And if there is a Josephson sign positive, so always try to look for in this best way. Instead of looking at an RBBB morphology or LBBB morphology, try to look for Bruguera's sign, try to look for Josephson sign, and if you can identify what we call as, I've already shown you before, if I tell you that particular, this is Bruguera's sign, Josephson sign, I've shown you before, and I've shown you one more difference. We call Marriott sign. Marriott sign. That is, if there is a left rabbit ear pattern, that is first R wave is taller, S wave is deeper, is also deep enough, and second R wave is small, it is in favor of VT. It is in favor of VT. This sign, if you can demonstrate best way, it is in favor of VT. So try to look for that sign, and that is what we call as a step 4. We have got lot of things in step 4, so I'll show you in another slide. This slide, if you go through, this is in SVT, what we call that in an SVT, if you get an LBBB pattern, this is LBBB pattern, this is in SVT, you get a small R wave, deep S wave, while if you look in a VT, you will have a Bruguera sign and Josephson sign. You see this QRS complex with tremendous. So if you get that Bruguera sign, Marriott sign, Josephson sign, it is straightforward in favor of VT. Don't go for other complicated material. These are all those things shown you that this is SVT, this is VT. This is RBBB pattern in SVT, this is RBBB pattern in VT. This is LBBB pattern in VT, SVT, this is in VT. You can see here, you will be able to demonstrate very clear Josephson sign, Bruguera's sign, and Marriott sign. Very clear. While here you will never see notch. You see here, you don't see notch at all. So don't try to go for what is R wave, what is S wave, etc. Look for Bruguera's sign, look for Josephson sign, and look for Marriott signs. See here also again. Can you see this notch? This is Josephson sign. This is longer than 0.1 second. Bruguera's sign. Straightforward in favor of VT. Don't go for any other. And if there is a presence of capture bit and fusion bits, it is clear cut in favor of NVT. So I'll skip over this. There is something called as a AVR algorithms. Yes, sometime if you cannot make out, you go for an AVR algorithm. What is being said that in AVR, if there is an initial R wave in AVR, if answer is yes, straightforward VT. If answer is no, then look for initial R wave or there is an initial Q wave. And if that is more than 40 millisecond, so even if there is an R wave, it is more than 40 millisecond, or Q wave is more than 40 millisecond, or we call 0.04 second. If answer is yes, again VT. So if R wave is present, and if R wave is more than 0.04 millisecond, or 0.04 second or 0.40 millisecond, it is straightforward in favor of VT. And if there is a notch on the downstroke of a negative onset, predominantly in a negative AVR, then straightforward it is VT. This is little difficult because VI by VT should be less than 1. This is very difficult to calculate. So these three, very easy. If R wave is present, straightforward. If R wave is longer than 0.4 second or a 0.04 second, one small square, again in favor. And if in a downslope, in a down slope. If there is a notch, straightforward in favor of VT. So these are some of the things. At your convenient time, I mention again here all those things. Don't look for this, little difficult. So I'm skipping that particular part. These are all what we have talked about. These are all additional criteria mentioned many times before. So I'm skipping this particular slide also. Now these are all other people who has given their name. Almost what we have talked about before. All these different things are included here. So someone says valence criteria, Achter's criteria, Kindwall criteria, Miller's criteria. This is Miller criteria in AVR. This is criteria in other leads, what we call as SVT and SVT difference. Is it clear? This is in chase leads, V1, V2 leads. This is Miller's criteria. This is Griffith's criteria. This is Bayesian criteria. This is work calc criteria. There are lot numbers of different criteria. This is Bruguera's and Struer criteria, algorithms. You can go at your leisure time if you are interested. Now this is one slide which is by ACC, that is American Cardiology College of Cardiology, that has put this particular slide. And this is a very simple way what we have discussed before. It is put together till now. So I'm going through that. If you get any time wide QRS, what is wide QRS? More than 0.12 second. So if you get that QRS and that is tachycardia, now first thing you look for regular and irregular. If it is irregular, straightforward, all these conditions are out. All these conditions are out. So what are the possibility? Always it is a possible more in favor of atrial fibrillation or atrial flutter. So there is either atrial fibrillation or flutter with aberrant conduction, bundle branch block or WPW. These are the possibility. And as far as VT is concerned, polymorphic VT. Only one condition in ventricular rhythm, and all other will be atrial flutter fibrillation with aberrant conduction, rate related, or what we call as a WPW syndrome. So previous bundle branch block, WPW syndrome, or a fast rate may produce aberrant conduction and irregular rhythm with wide QRS tachyarrhythmias. So this becomes very easy to differentiate. Why? If it is regular, now there is a problem. So if I want to make out early, even before I've just made an attempt to look in an ECG, and now I want to confirm it. So what I'll do, simple most. I'll give a vagal maneuver or I'll give adenosine. This I'll attempt if the person is stable. And if person is stable, and if I give a vagal maneuver, that is carotid sinus massage or Valsalva maneuver or Muller's method, etc. and or I give adenosine IV, I'll have to wait for 5 to 6 seconds. Now if QRS is identical to sinus rhythm, now there is a change in the rate. Nutan, so if the rate reverse back and person regains the normal rhythm, and that is showing a sinus rhythm, it is in favor of SVT with aberrancy. That is SVT with bundle branch block or SVT with WPW syndrome. Now if the person has got previous myocardial infarction, structural heart disease, more in favor of VT. Now if there is 1-to-1 AV relationship, then if it is yes, again it is in favor of SVT. If answer is no, now look at the ventricular rate. If ventricular rate is faster than atrial rate, we call as a AV dissociation. So if AV dissociation is there, straightforward in favor of VT. If atrial rate is faster than ventricular rate, it is in favor of what we call as a supraventricular tachycardias. Now, if QRF morphology, if you look at, if QRF morphology is typical of RBBB or LBBB, classical pattern, and there is a tachycardia, 100% in favor of SVT. And if in a precordial lead you get concordance, these are Brugueda's criteria, no RS pattern, onset of R wave is longer, and there is a Bruguera sign positive, Josephson sign positive, Marriott sign positive, and QRS, that is from R to S, is more than 0.1 second, or we call 100 milliseconds straightforward in favor of VT. Now if there is an RBBB pattern, we already told you, if there is an RBBB pattern and if there is an LBBB pattern, you try to look for all this. Best way is this, what we call as a concordant, whether positive or negative, Bruguera's sign, Josephson sign, Marriott sign, AV dissociation, capture bits, fusion bits. If you come across all this, it is in favor of VT. So utilize this particular slide. This is one slide which is showing you the difference. All those what we have mentioned before is given here. All those what we have mentioned here. That is AV dissociation, capture bit, fusion bits, ventricular rhythm, QRS axis, QRS duration, myocardial infarction, normal heart, response to carotid sinus massage, response to Valsalva maneuver, etc. What will be the difference between ventricular tachycardia, rate-related aberrancy, and pre-excitation tachycardia? At your leisure time, have a pause, go through all. What we have uttered before is rewritten here. So try to go through that at your leisure time. Now this is again one small picture which I captured from internet. That is difference between ventricular tachycardia, SVT with aberrancy, SVT with WPW, SVT with a baseline abnormal ECG, SVT with hyperkalemia, and ventricular pacing. If there is an LBBB pattern, what is a typical ECG pattern? And if there is a RBBB pattern, because LBBB we always compare with V1 and V6, RBBB we compare with V1 and V6, and these are the differences. At your convenient time you can go through. We have to differentiate sometimes all this from ventricular tachycardia. This is ventricular tachycardia. These are all SVT with aberrant. These four. 1, 2, 3, 4. These are SVT with aberrancy. This is SVT with WPW. This is with baseline abnormalities. Is that clear? And this is with hyperkalemia. So try to look at this difference. And in a ventricular pacing, you will always have a spike before. Spike before. You will be able to see a spike before QRS complex. So try to identify that. And this is VT versus we call as a SVT with aberrancy because of WPW syndrome. Again, you can have a time, you can go through. These questions we already mentioned before. So now I am tackling this particular part. Whenever you want to give a Valsalva maneuver, and particularly by a carotid sinus massage, we call as a vagal stimulation, always look for a carotid bruit. If there is a carotid bruit, you cannot give carotid sinus massage. So these are the conditions where you cannot give a carotid sinus massage. So look for a bruit. If bruit is present, don't give massage. If person is having prior history of stroke, transient ischemic attack, don't give. Myocardial infarction within previous 6 months, and a person has got serious cardiac arrhythmias and you are suspecting clinically ventricular tachycardia more than SVT with aberrancy, don't attempt carotid sinus massage. And this will be the response if you get. What does it mean? Means if it terminates with QRS complex, it is ventricular. If tachycardia persists, even with a carotid sinus massage, it is with AV block, like atrial tachycardia, atrial fibrillation, SA node re-entry tachycardias. And if there is a pseudo R wave in V1, it is AVNRT. If there is a short RP interval, again it is in favor of an AVNRT or AVRT. And if there is a long RP interval, it can be any one of these: atrial tachycardia, sinoatrial node re-entry tachycardia, AVNRT, which is an atypical variety. All these are possibilities. This is complicated, but still. Now these are some of the important slides, just I am going through that. It is a bad thing if you misdiagnose VT as an SVT. Yes, answer is yes. Because if you misdiagnose as SVT and you treat as an SVT, person can end up with complications and it is dangerous. You may kill some patient. But is it bad? You misdiagnose SVT as VT. Less complication, because when you treat as an VT, usually SVT are having less mortality. You don't do much harm. So what you will need is an extra workup, but will not do much harm to the patient. Sometimes we say that adenosine should be used first to differentiate between VT and SVT. Ideally, it should not be the pattern. Adenosine will not convert VT. Yes, by and large. So adenosine usually will convert SVT into a normal rhythm. But sometimes you can see that if treatment for VT don't usually harm the patient. So if you treat as a VT, you don't harm the patient if person has got SVT. But opposite of that, if a person has got VT and you treat as an SVT, then it is a harmful thing. So in a 2015 ACLS guidelines as mentioned very clearly that it's okay to do a trial of adenosine in a wide complex tachycardia if it is regular and monomorphic. Adenosine is recommended as a safe and potentially effective in stable, undifferentiated, regular, monomorphic, wide complex tachycardia. But don't use it as a diagnostic maneuver. Adenosine will not convert all SVT into normal sinus rhythm. 5 to 10% of VT can be also converted. So you will misdiagnose this particular group as SVT. So some of the idiopathic VT can be converted, or a young patient without coronary artery disease when treated with adenosine can convert back to normal sinus rhythm. So do not rely on adenosine to diagnose SVT from VT. So in summary, before you treat as a wide complex tachyarrhythmias as SVT with aberrancy, always make sure that it is not hyperkalemia and it is not tricyclic antidepressant poisoning, or we call toxicity. These two are reversible condition and the treatment is absolutely different. So always it is a word. Assume it as a VT whenever you see a wide complex tachyarrhythmia. And in a young person can get VT also. By and large, we always say more than 35 treat as VT, less than 35 treat as supraventricular tachycardia with aberrancy. No, even a young person can get VT. You can try adenosine, but don't use it as a diagnostic purpose. In a stable person, you can try adenosine, but in an unstable person, don't try. Have a electrical cardioversion ready and have a procainamide ready, because these two are the prime treatment in case of a ventricular tachycardia. So this is what we say. Always try to differentiate this from SVT with aberrancy and this condition, what we call is a hyperkalemia and tricyclic antidepressant poisoning. These are reversible. These are less pathogenic. This is highly pathogenic. And this is one example what we have given. A person has come with a wide QRS complex tachyarrhythmia. He was unstable. And when he was unstable, DC was given. Person was admitted, DC was given. This was before. Wide QRS tachyarrhythmias with unstable. You can see immediately after giving a DC, there is a cardioversion and this has turned back to normal sinus rhythm. This can happen in even wide QRS tachyarrhythmias because of SVT with aberrancy. So keep that thing in mind. So this is normal sinus rhythm has been achieved in that particular person, which will not happen very commonly in a ventricular tachycardia. So I end my lecture here. I hope it will be helpful. We'll see you again in the next lecture.